The Timeline is a Blue Wire podcast. Welcome to the Timeline of Phoenix Suns podcast. We are back, and so is Kevin Durant. Sam, how you doing?
Thank God for that. I'm good, fresh off of my Thanksgiving travel, and it feels good to be home, my other home. KD basically saves the Suns anytime he's in. It kind of feels like night and day with trying to talk about this team right now if KD is playing or isn't playing, but thank God he is back, and the team feels like watching a different product again. So
it really
that's
does.
Good to see.
He's having just an absurd season in general. You know, we're coming off of recording the day after the Golden State Warriors victory, a team who's played really, really well so far this season, and the Suns came in and thoroughly beat them. Never really lost the lead throughout the entire game, even though Golden State, as consistently as they always do, it seems, they did find ways to creep back into it, but the Suns did finish that game without giving up that lead. And, you know, Kevin Durant, who had a pretty good game offensively, just another amazing game defensively, where he's just been so awesome defensively all season. A lot is made, I think, or a lot was made about how good LeBron James continued to be, like, later in his career. And I feel like maybe, you know, being in and out of the lineup due to injuries impacted that. But I feel like maybe less is made overall just with how good Kevin Durant continues to be at his age. And this season, I think even better so far than last season. I think he's even better. I mean, it's kind of absurd to say that, but he's been so great.
I agree with you. I think he's better too. And I think part of that is, you know, spacing around him and roster construction and all of that stuff. But, you know, as for the LeBron comparison, KD's still only, quote unquote, only 36. So each additional year that he can stay this good or close to this good, we're going to get more conversation about kind of how generational and crazy that is. But yeah, his defensive impact this year has been absurd. And like, he's thoroughly and consistently smothering guys on defense. I feel like he's locked in a lot more often. I think we talked last year about how KD's always had these incredible highs on defense, but like maybe it just wasn't there, you know, 100 or 90% of the time enough to like actually reward him with being in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation, right? Like, you know, he can get up to that level. This year he's been at that level quite a bit, and like, given the stark contrast in how this team has played with him versus without him, what's their record now with him? 10-2.
Something like that, yeah.
I should have looked it up exactly before he came on here, but like...
No, I think that's right. In the games that both him and Booker have played, they're 10-2.
He certainly deserves to be in the MVP conversation for that reason. He certainly deserves to be in some higher tier defensive conversation. He's just been awesome. I mean, I saw that stat. I forget who posted it. Someone posted it in our Discord, actually, that KD is holding all opponents to 38% shooting from the field this season. Which typically, you know, when you see a guy who's only played 10 or 15 games and it's kind of small sample, and you think maybe that regresses over time, and maybe it does, but like, who he has been when he's been healthy through these first 10 or 15 games has been special on both ends.
Yeah, not to mention all the blocks, man. He's just racking up blocks every game, just finding ways to be that sort of weak side rim protector, or even, you know, like the block he had on, I think it was Lindy Waters in the Warriors game. It's just one-on-one defense. He just completely snatched it from him midair on a pull-up three-point attempt. It's just, he's been all over the place, and it's been awesome to see. A couple updates, and I want to talk about the in-season tournament before we get to questions. We did collect questions online, and we have a lot of them, so we won't spend too long before we jump into those questions. But Nurkic out for at least a week now with a new injury, and Coach Bud implied that he's been dealing with a lot of like lower body injuries throughout the season, which he has. And now it's something like a is it thigh or something? I don't even know how they listed it.
Yeah, it's a thigh contusion.
Yeah, so kind of weird. Out for another week. Bradley Beal supposedly probable for the game against the San Antonio Spurs, which is an in-season tournament game. So I want to talk about that game. But first, before we get into that, I just want to ask you, where are you at this season, round 2 or season 2, for the Emirates NBA Cup, which we referred to all last season as the in-season tournament? Now it's got a new name.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about it?
It's too much to say that I don't care, because I do care. I care insofar as I care about the NBA, and I enjoy watching NBA basketball games. Right. I think the courts have been better this year. I largely find myself unable or unwilling, not unable, but unwilling to really determine like the ins and the outs of who's in and who's out. Like, I'm not really following the Group A and Group B standings. And
right.
I know I have it in front of me right now because we're recording a podcast about it. Like, I know the Suns are currently, they're 2-1 and they're tied by wins and losses, but they do technically have the best point differential at the top of Group B. And so, yeah, they have a good chance if they win tomorrow against the Spurs. But yeah, I'm not thoroughly following it, man. We'll see who the teams are that are in it, and I'll watch the games, and it'll be fine. What about you?
I still like it.
It's fine.
I think that players do try a little bit harder at the very least until the end of the game. So basketball, tends to be a little bit worse when games are blowouts, or just the idea of like sort of throwing out the unwritten rules of not running the score up. I enjoy that because I don't care about the unwritten rules very much as long as players continue to stay healthy during those minutes. That's all that really matters. I still like it. I still have fun watching it. I think some of the courts in particular are worse than others, but I do think they have like an actual problem with how confusing it is to follow the group stages, and they need to do something to fix it. Now, whether or not that something is just using the divisions that currently exist and using those division standings as whatever the group is, I think could be kind of interesting. I know that the schedule is not quite balanced in that way, but you could do it with head-to-head division games that exist. Do half of those division games before the in-season tournament, or however you want to do it. I think maybe you have divisions that exist. They don't really do anything anymore, right? They used to equate to seeding, and that's gone away.
Yeah, it used to guarantee you if you led your division, it guaranteed you a top 4 seed in each conference, and they did away with that because sometimes you would have like a 46-win team being the 4th seed in in its conference, right? Because they're at the top of a really crappy division.
Yeah, so like maybe use the divisions for something and find a way to balance the schedule in a way that makes those matter again. I know that for the Suns, that's particularly hard because they tend to be in a division where there's always pretty good teams. The Clippers really good this year. The Warriors pretty good this year. The Lakers, up and
pretty
down,
good.
Not always great, but yeah. And the Kings have been awful. So
the Kings have been awful and still beat the Suns
against the Suns
every time they play us. So I think definitely that yes, that would be easier to follow. Substantially easier to follow. Would it increase interest in the NBA Cup among the general NBA fan populace? I honestly couldn't tell you.
That's where a lot of the rivalries exist, at the very least.
That's true.
So you can find a way to use those to juice the ratings a little bit if that's something that matters to you. We didn't talk about this ahead of time, but just throwing it at you. Supposedly Amazon, who has NBA rights next year, is trying to speak to the NBA about moving the cup later in the year to potentially not compete with football, so that whatever the at the very least the single game elimination tournament style portion of it maybe exists in January or sometime later.
Well, January still. Well, I guess if they did it in just the perfect 2-week window that like before the Super Bowl, then it doesn't compete with football, I guess. Yeah. Because I was going to say, if you do it after the Super Bowl, like March is March Madness, April is too late because you're too close to the playoffs.
I kind of like that last year we saw the Lakers and the Pacers be good at the beginning of the year and then be bad at the end of the year. And there's something about like this historical document or record, which I know we have now. We can just look at the schedule, but nobody does, of showing teams that play well at the beginning of the year and sort of finding out how much that correlates to playing well at the end of the year. There's something kind of interesting about that to me that, you know, ultimately I don't really care where it is. I think the idea of juicing the ratings at the beginning of the season, if you move it later, then what are you doing?
It really correlates. There is a correlation between like a positive correlation between playing well at the beginning of the season and playing well overall. But like ultimately, how can you possibly construct a tournament that lasts a grand total of 5 games if you go all the way and say that this is going to be a representative product? Like that's what you have the playoffs for. You have the 20 game sample of the playoffs and the greater 82 game sample of the regular season to tell us who is actually the best team in the league. The NBA Cup is not for that. The NBA Cup, if anything, I think they should make it more gimmicky. I'm not sure how exactly, but I'd be open to hearing out more rule changes for the NBA Cup and just select a handful of games on the schedule and just make them stupid, because that's already effectively what you're doing.
Well, there's multiple games that aren't part of the regular schedule. The Suns, played the Lakers 5 times last year. So there's already some weird stuff that can happen within that. So why not find a way to make it more gimmicky? I could see that. I don't know that purists, basketball purists, NBA purists would enjoy that. But
it would piss them off. 4-point line for only the NBA Cup games? What would you say?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that. I'm just
dunks are worth
there.
3.
Dunks are worth 3.
I don't hate it. Intentional fouls, you get 3 shots for them or something like that. Get rid of those, or maybe just use the Elam ending. Right, find a way to bring that back into it. Having said that, there is another Cup game tomorrow. We're recording this on Monday. The game's on Tuesday. That's against the San Antonio Spurs. Could be the last one. The Suns have to win that to stay in that tournament. Otherwise, it's still kind of out of their hands. I believe they have to root for maybe the Mavs to lose, which who doesn't do that already? But that's Chris Paul, of course, returning. Devin Booker has a chance to get to 15,000, or Devin Booker will get to 15,000 points in that game as long as he
1 point away, right?
One bucket. Yeah, he will get to that. And we're going to watch that on Playback. So join us on Playback to watch that one. And that'll be a fun one to watch. Do you have any thoughts about the San Antonio Spurs, who are now, by the way, playing pretty well? I think they've won 5 of their last 6.
Yeah, I mean, don't call me a Spurs fan or anything, but I did kind of believe in this team, and I don't think I believed in them as an over 500 team. But lo and behold, Wemby, remember people wringing their hands about his cold shooting to start the season? He's up to, I think, like 36% from deep, like on the season, and he's doing fine. And Vassell is back. He hasn't started a game for them yet, but he's scoring off the bench for now. They're going to be fine, man. They're a good team. And that matchup tomorrow for sure is no joke. Playback.tv/the-timeline, by the way, for any of you who want to join but maybe forgot how, just follow that link.
One more thing I wanted to mention before we get to our questions for the mailbag is that for our Patreon this December, we do have a coupon code that you can use for Christmas or for the holidays, for whatever you do here. And that's to get 80% off your first month for our Patreon. That's across all tiers. We recommend, of course, doing at least a $6 tier so you can get an extra podcast every month. That coupon code, Sam, tell them what the coupon code is.
It is there like a hashtag before it, or
no?
You just put in the code? Code is OSOGOOD. OSOGOOD. OSOGOOD to get 80% off your first month of our Patreon. It's kind of a double entendre in the sense that Oso Iguodala, that guy is good. In fact, one might say that he is so good. That is how good Oso is good.
Check it out, patreon.com/thetimeline. Sign up in a browser. If you sign up through like the Apple app or something, they charge you more. Apple adds some money onto that. So just go to a browser, patreon.com/thetimeline. Check it out. Code OSOGOOD, OSOGOOD, no spaces. Let's get into some questions. Sam, are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Once again, we're leaving the order of these questions up to Elon Musk, who orders my tweets, replies directly. And the first one is from our friend Rice, who says, in a post-Nurk world, by the way, How many of these questions do you think are going to be about
A lot.
Nurkic?
A lot. It's the most pressing. And I've actually had a couple of people respond to me on Twitter saying, like, okay, you're doing too much now with it, right? Which I understand to an extent. Like, I think people don't want us to talk about him all the time. But he is the most pressing issue on the current roster. And so, yeah, I have a feeling like that's where a lot of people's minds or heads are at. And that's what a lot of these questions are going to be concerning. We'll find out.
In a post-Nurk world, there are two centers. A lob-catching center who provides rim pressure, and Nick Richards is an example, or a pick-and-pop center that may fit better with Bud's vision, even if not all the intangibles fit, like Isaiah Stewart. Which do you lean towards?
Yeah, in an ideal, like, I think if you could find me, didn't you tell me last week what Isaiah Stewart is averaging, and I already forgot? I'm going to pull it up.
Yes. Well, Isaiah Stewart is having his best rim protection numbers. The Detroit Pistons have been okay.
And he's not shooting threes again this season.
And he's not shooting
he
threes
stopped
anymore,
shooting threes, which is interesting because he actually shot them well last year. Why would he stop? Yeah. I might have to watch some more Pistons games. I think in like a perfect world, if you can get the guy who fits what Bud has always done, who's a rim protector and a spacing threat, then that's awesome. But there are way, way, way more guys who just check the box of being competent, capable, inside finishers, where maybe there are some defensive concerns, but they can, play with relative ease or comfort within like a drop defense or a defensive scheme or something like that. Basically, there are more Nick Richards than there are Brook Lopez's. And so, I don't even know that Isaiah Stewart is a Brook Lopez since he's not shooting threes this year.
And he's not very tall.
He's
Brook
not very
Lopez
tall.
is huge.
He's not very tall, right? Yeah. Nick Richards sounds great to me. I've brought him up before. I'll continue to bring him up. I think there's going to be a robust market for him at the deadline because he only makes $5 million or whatever it is.
Mark Williams is never healthy for that team. I just don't think they're going to trade him.
They suck anyway. What are they playing for? But like I saw Hoops Hype, and I don't know if I believe like what Hoops Hype says, but they were saying that the trade market for Nick Richards is 2 seconds. Do you believe that?
I don't know. I feel the same. It's got to be from someone legitimate for me to feel like it's actually a real report.
Right.
That's one of those ones where I kind of doubt it.
I just think like there's probably a bunch of teams in on him.
Outside of those names, Nick Richards and Isaiah Stewart, which who knows about their availability once again, but whichever one is a better defender, I think you can find a way to build a capable offense around what they're doing. The Suns have been doing a lot more plays with guys in the dunker spot this year. So, because they don't have a big who can,
who can score out of the pick and roll
in general, but yeah.
who can catch a lob.
They'll put Tyus Jones in the dunker spot. They'll put anyone in there.
No, they will.
You know what I mean? They'll put anyone there. So, I think they can build an offense around guys who can't shoot just fine. But if you can find a shooter who also plays great defense, fine. It's to me, you have to figure out, do they have a capable offensive skill? Whatever it is. Yeah. Okay, cool. Whichever one's the better defender, if they're available, then grab that one because you can fix whatever's working offensively around that. It's just defensively, you need someone who can do well. And look, that's the hardest thing to find. So I don't think they're going to find it. Next question from Michael at Book It Booker on Twitter. What are each of your most reasonable Nurk trades? Do you think he'll still be on the team after the trade deadline? Look, I'm going to say this now because I have a feeling there's more questions about this. Our last episode, I know it was recorded after a 5-game losing streak, but the last 20 minutes of that episode was, after about 5 hours of trade deadline research. If you go back and listen to that one, we probably pitched 8 different trades related to Grayson Allen and Yusuf Nurkic. Some of the names that are included in there are already spoken about here. Isaiah Stewart, Jonas Valanciunas was one of them that we talked about. Yep, he's on there's other guys potentially available. Mitch Robinson off the table right now, apparently not capable of trading to him because the Knicks are hard capped, so that makes it harder. But listen to that. There's a lot more in there. 20 minutes talk on that we're not going to get to here.
Yeah, but I will just say, the difficulty with constructing those trades again is, he said specifically a Nurkic trade most of those trades that we were constructing, we were sending out Grayson Allen because we understand that he might actually be worth
they're
something.
Tied together. I think they're tied together because if you trade Nurkic, for example, for Dorian Finney-Smith, the names I brought up that you could potentially use Grayson to trade for are Jonas, Robert Williams, Larry Nance Jr., Mo Wagner, Jock Landale, guys like that could potentially be available.
Batadze.
Isaiah Stewart, Batadze. Yeah, those are guys that are there that maybe you can use Grayson for. But if you can't trade Nurkic for a center, then you would have to probably use Grayson for one. But you'd have to bring someone back in the Nurkic trade that actually can play in that Grayson role, and that likely means attaching a pick to Nurkic in order for a team to absorb his salary and you still get some sort of value back from him.
Right. And my problem, or my concern rather right now is Nurkic's value at a place where even if you attach the 2031 pick to him, do you get a playable role player back?
That's
or is
the second part to his question. Do you think he's still on the team after the trade deadline?
Yeah.
The answer to that is probably yes at this point, right? Because the value is so bad. Unless he finds
you're
a way
saying
to
yes,
build back
but not for lack of trying.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think they. I mean, I think they tried to trade him in the offseason. We'll just say that, and I don't think they found the right trade at that time. So I definitely think they're open to it. It's not like they're, obsessed with keeping him on the roster. They know there's a problem here. They're trying to fix it. But you have one lever to pull here to improve this team, and that's that 2031 pick. And you have to find the right trade to do that. And if you don't, I understand keeping it because maybe you do it in the offseason some other way.
The other thing I would say, I guess, then is for sure that's possible. This team has 3 centers. They're not the 3 ideal centers that I want to bring into a playoff rotation per se, but if they can't trade Nurkic, they just can't find a partner. I mean, maybe he just sits on the roster post-February as $18 million in dead weight, but that doesn't mean you have to play him. Yeah.
Or he can play off the bench in the right kind of role.
He could be DNP-CD'd at a certain point. If this level of bad play continues, we could just see him on the team not suiting up. Or like you're saying, he could be Mason Plumlee.
Yeah.
And Oso could be him.
Okay, this is from Blake Wilhelm. Build the best player you can, only using attributes from these 3 players: Nurkic, Bender, and Ulis. I almost feel like you just throw Bender out of that entirely. What could you possibly...
This isn't that challenging, actually.
No, you just give all of the ball skills of Ulis to Nurkic, right? Passing
Bender's
and dribbling and playmaking.
Bender's for sure longer than Nurk, right?
Okay, so longer arms, and legs for Nurkic with all of the.
So take Nurkic, make him gangly, and the court vision that he thinks he already has, but the court vision of Tyler Ulis
and the shooting and the dribbling. Yeah.
It's not a bad player.
That's a pretty good player, I would say. That's basically Wembanyama.
More or less.
It's Bol. I like that. Sawyer says, if you could revisit this offseason and change one thing, what would it be?
Oh. Revisit this offseason and change one thing.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
What's everything we did this offseason? Tyus Jones would still do it. Monte Morris would still do it. Tyus Jones,
Royce O'Neal, Grayson Allen extensions, right? Those are important. You do those, I think. Josh Okogie extension, I think you do that too.
I think you still do that.
Yeah. Obviously, Tyus Jones was huge. Mason Plumlee? I'm not sure there's a lot of other good options that the Suns had for Mason, for that spot.
Yeah, who else got signs this? I mean, could we get Jay Huff, that guy on the Grizzlies that shoots threes that they got out of nowhere? I guess that would be what I do, right? Like if I have the power of hindsight, I would get the guy who's shooting 40% on 6 threes a game or whatever he's doing that nobody knew the name of 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But overall, I still think, if we don't have the benefit of hindsight, they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. Oh, also Bud was hired. I mean, that's another thing. Firing Frank, that was obviously a good choice. Yeah, I'm not sure that I have any one particular thing, right? The only other option is you trade Nurkic when his value was a little bit higher, because I think it's only gone down since the season has started. and I'm just not sure that there was something available there. But
I
guess
love
whatever it was, you do that.
That's a great point. Obviously, we can't know, but I would love to know if the Suns did end up kind of rejecting some offer in the summer when they thought Nurk's value was a little bit higher. Do they regret that decision now? And I wonder what that offer was.
Yeah.
If there was anything out there that they could have done. Maybe someone wanted them to attach the pick 3 months ago and they weren't willing to do it because they thought that it would still be on the table for them to attach to Grayson or Okogie or someone down the line in February. But they also didn't expect Nurk to tank his own value like this. And I just wonder what conversations were happening.
Right. All right. The Boom Room says, through 19 games, we have only welcomed 3 opponents to the Boom Room. That's on pace for an abysmal 12.9474 Boom Rooms over an 82-game season. Which of our athletic players do you think should be seeing more minutes to make up for this lack of Boom Rooms?
Are you counting the Boom Rooms?
I'm not.
Not you. What's the account name? Sorry.
The Boom Room.
Okay.
At Javon Fan Club is what it is.
Oh, it's Javon Fan Club. I know that guy.
Yeah.
So I guess he rebranded to just counting Boom Rooms.
Poor Javon doesn't have any fans anymore.
How's Javon Carter doing these days? Does he play? Is he with the
I don't
Bulls
know.
still?
Bulls, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
So
what was the question?
Who needs to play more so that the Suns get more dunks? Basically.
Oso will play more. I would love to know who those 3 Boom Rooms were already. Josh
KD,
Okogie
probably. Oh yeah, Josh Okogie for sure. There
was
that
definitely one of those Boom Rooms.
His first play back, yeah.
And Bull.
Bull had one, or did you say you think he should play?
No,
more?
I just think he'll have a boomable dunk.
Yeah, he could definitely do it. I think Oso Ighodaro, obviously his sort of corner cuts, he could easily. Maybe he's one of the ones.
He's making that
actually
a staple of his offense. If you can call it a staple, like Oso's in a weird place right now where he doesn't have a go-to bread and butter offensive skill, right? Like he does have
passing and screening, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but like to create his own offense, right? Like he has the floater, which is okay, and he cuts from the corner, which is good. Those are relatively easy things for the defense to like make an adjustment and take away from him. So it'll be interesting to see at a certain point how he evolves or develops out of that to like, create a secondary skill essentially in his offense.
The floater's been good lately. It'd be nice if that actually keeps dropping. I know we've talked about that, but it's been dropping lately. So, and from further and further out, the shot's not pretty though. And it's funny if you see him shoot, which we've seen online, the occasional 3-point shot, like in warm-ups or practice or whatever. It's just his floater form from the 3-point line where it starts like at his chest and his arms kind of go straight up.
He's at 9 for 11 from the free throw line, which is the first time I checked that.
And it's a similar shot from there too. Yeah, so it's kind of odd. I guess
That's
it goes
weird.
in.
He was a
maybe he can shoot him.
62% free throw shooter in college in 4 years at Marquette, which is not very good, obviously.
Right.
So I'm kind of surprised he's even shooting as well as he is so far. We'll see where that lands. He's about to get a lot of minutes in the next week, so that'll be interesting. Who are we playing this week? We're playing San Antonio.
Yeah.
That's going to be an interesting size matchup for Oso there.
Yeah.
New Orleans, not too concerned with. They start Yves Missi. Miami is Bam. Miami's Bam Adebayo, which is exactly like that is Oso's body type. So I'm not concerned with that. Obviously, Bam's a great player, but he's not like physically.
Yeah, it's not
overpowering.
Jokic.
Yeah. Who else? Who's the fourth game this week? There's one on the weekend.
Remember. Yeah.
I'll find it. Next question.
Stephen Freeman said, "Feel free to save this for an off-season pod, but do you think the next great Phoenix Suns player who takes the baton from Book is already in the league?"
That's a great question.
I would say probably not. I don't know, though. Steve Nash was like the great Suns player from my youth, and he signed to the Suns at 30. So there is a world where
he's the outlier.
That happens.
He's the outlier for sure. I mean, it's also just a question of, do they acquire someone in a trade at some point?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how they acquired KD. Could they theoretically do it again? It's a lot harder to trade for guys in the primes of their careers. But the thing is, Book is pretty young still, and he probably has, like, if Book has another 6 or 7 years not just in the NBA, but like 6 or 7 years, like prime Book at this level, if he could do that, that's a long time.
Yes, it is.
And that's, there. So if that happens, I would be tempted to say that no, the guy who takes the baton,
Ryan
is not
Dunn has a Jimmy Butler like trajectory here,
right?
Then yeah, probably not. I would
Ryan
say.
Dunn or Oso, but I think those guys are more likely to be role players than stars. I don't think I'm shocking anyone in saying that. And outside of them, yeah.
Who knows, though? I don't know. You never know the kind of moves.
Well, maybe the right way to approach this question is by thinking about the past, like what's happened in the past. The problem is the Suns franchise, our organization, has been such a dumpster fire for the past 10 years. It's hard to find like a comparable. I can't think of one.
Yeah, it's tough because I would say probably not, though. Let's see. Stephen Burt says, grade Coach Budenholzer's performance so far this season in total. You can segment based on offense, defense, extras if you'd like. So Coach Bud, I think if you look outside of the 5-game win streak, it would be an absolute A+. The question is, how do you grade the coaching during the 5-game losing streak?
The 5-game losing streak.
When they were missing, 3 of their top 6, 7 players that whole time, basically.
Yeah, you don't. I think.
I don't know. I think there were stuff that we didn't quite like during that, that he could have done differently. But maybe that doesn't mean it was the wrong choice necessarily. But hindsight always lends it to saying you lost, therefore something different should have been done.
Yeah, I try and remind myself that a coach, any NBA coach, is going to make thousands. Like an NBA coach is going to play thousands of lineup combinations, not thousands, but hundreds, dozens of lineup combinations over the course of a season, and you're bound to disagree with some of them. So
yeah,
if I'm splitting this up, rotations, yeah, like there are things I haven't loved. 90% of the time, though, I agree with what he's doing, and even more, even when I don't agree with what he's doing, I at least admire the balls on him, because a lot of the time it's just weird stuff. He'll play Royce O'Neal, not even Royce O'Neal. He'll play Grayson Allen or someone at power forward for a few minutes, right?
Right.
And
yeah.
he'll play
4 guards. Yeah.
He'll play Yusuf Nurkic and Mason Plumlee together at power forward and center, right? And just do weird stuff. And I think it's great to have a coach like that. So yeah, rotations, like, I don't know, B+. I've disagreed with some stuff. I think the more important thing to talk about is the system he has implemented and the buy-in he has received from the players. And for that, I would give him a small thing. I'd give him an A for that.
To get everyone on board with playing the way that he wants to play, and to get them to not only be on board, but like espouse it. They're out there talking about it in every interview. They're clearly on board, right? They're communicating to the rest of the team, the star players are, that they're on board with what he wants to do, and that matters, I think, for the future of the team, for the health of the team overall, and how they play. And that to me earns him an A. So far, I don't have a ton of complaints. I think he's done a pretty good job, and when they're all healthy, they look awesome. And he seems to pull guys when they're not playing bad, or when they are playing bad, and play guys when they're the right matchup decision. I do wonder what it is about Frank Vogel that he got that season out of Yusuf Nurkic. And maybe it's just Nurkic, right? Or maybe it's the injuries. I don't know. But it's kind of odd that he's been just this awful so far this season compared to last year. Because he was not that bad last year. I mean, he wasn't great, but it's not anything like what's happening this year.
I'm not crediting Vogel for that. I can't think of anything he might have done other than obviously he
defensively.
Empowered.
I mean,
yeah, that's true. Okay, that's true. Their defense with Nurk was good. No, that's a good point. He empowered him offensively by giving him a different role, but we can plainly see that Nurk is not deserving of that role. He wasn't even arguably deserving of that role last year, is kind of more so by necessity, but especially this year he's not deserving of that role. So there's no empowerment for Bud to really give him. At a sort of certain point, you got to pivot to other options. Defensively, you're right. It's weird how much worse Nurk has been. That might be an injury thing. The ankle injury limiting mobility potentially, or this
Both
current,
ankles,
this current
apparently.
thigh thing. I don't know. Yeah, that could be a number of things.
SoCal Sun said, who is the worst center that is actually available on the market that you would be happy to see on this team in the playoffs?
Kellen Olson.
He's pretty tall.
He won't listen to this episode. I've seen teams put out shorter centers than Kellen Olson.
Isaiah Stewart and him are probably.
I've seen Ty Lue play PJ Tucker at center. Kellen Olson.
Terrence Mann. He's
Suit
played
up.
Terrence Mann at center.
Yeah, he has.
Terrence Mann rocks.
Y'all want a serious answer? You go with this one. Did you say something?
I don't know if Jock Landale's available, but I don't know. Maybe Jock Landale's better than Nurkic.
I think Jock Landale is available. They're winning
have
games
3 centers
without playing him a lot. So, yeah, Jock Landale's not very good, but I would take him. So I think that answers the question precisely.
Okogie for Landale is the trade that works. Okogie's been awesome though, so I almost feel bad making trades with Okogie because he's shooting 50% from 3 and his defense has been great so far this season. It's you can't. I don't know. That's obviously not sustainable, that level of shooting. But if his shot is somehow fixed, that's pretty huge. And he could play. I guess he didn't play in the last few games. Probably should have played in that Nets game. But yeah. Suns Dude says, is there a reality where Oso is our starting center to end the season and we reach the finals?
Yes.
I'm going to say no. I'm sorry.
Yes, there is a reality. I have
too small.
I have foreseen 100,000 simulations of the future, and the number of them in which Oso is our starting center and we reach the finals is one out of a million, 1 out of 100,000. But it exists, and it's an ideal that we can strive to achieve.
In the way that there are infinite realities, then yes, I guess that's true. But yeah, I think he's just too small to be a starting center. If you're up against certain matchups in the playoffs, that's going to really hurt you.
I mean, but what if we don't have to play Jokic? What other matchup in the West is going to kill us if Oso's the starting center?
Yeah, well, Anthony Davis.
Okay, that's
I honestly think Zubac's getting every rebound over him would hurt too. The Clippers have been good. We talked about it. We expected them to be bad. They're not.
Yeah, we were way wrong on that one. I especially was way wrong on that one.
Yeah. Well, we both bet the under. So, yeah, I think that's one team that they're just awesome.
It's kind of brutal.
And then Kawhi could play. Who knows? But, yeah, I think that's just tough. He's just a little too small. I think his proper role is probably backup center, occasional power forward. That's just his size. Unless he can develop more of an offensive game outside, and there's no reason to think that that's happening this year. He has to be like Bam Adebayo, basically.
Yeah. Yep. That's the comp.
Greg from France says, what more could we hope from Bradley Beal this season?
Beyond the obvious.
Just being healthy. Yeah. Playing games.
When he's been
that's something that, I don't know what people expect from Bradley Beal. I think as soon as they traded for him, I just assumed he's playing 50 to 55 games a season already. So I think the way that people are so sad every time an injury is announced, I get it. Don't get me wrong. And I get being annoyed or frustrated. But also, what did you expect?
I guess I wanted 65. Was that too much to ask? The
it could still happen.
65-game season? I don't know.
It could still happen.
No, man. I mean, at this point,
what did he play last year?
53.
Yeah, so.
Year before that, 50. Year before that, 40.
Yeah,
before that, 60.
This is just what I expect him to do.
I know, but I was hoping we could hit the upper range of it, because there really is a big difference between if he can play 60 to 65 versus if he plays 40. If he plays 40, we've got a problem.
Yeah,
and I'm a little worried it's going to be closer to that. When he's been on the court, I've been really impressed with the defensive role that he's taken upon himself, with the way he continues to shoot the three and shoot it well, with the pressure he's putting on the rim outside of a role where he feels, he's putting pressure on the rim, but he's not the point guard, right? So he can be kind of that second side drive, and his straight line drives where he's focusing on getting his own points and not creating for others. They look really good. So yeah, it's just stay healthy. That's all it is.
B-Ball Index, our friends at the B-Ball Index, who They use tracking stats to put together a list of metrics that sort of measures how good players are in individual types of plays. And one of them is perimeter defense. And of their top 10 perimeter defensive players this season, Bradley Beal is on that list. He has been pretty good defensively, I think, so far this season. And I agree with you. I think he is taking to the sort of off-ball role where he's not asked to be the point guard really well. And I think they look really good when he's played so far. I think you can ask for a little bit more offensively as he gets a little more comfortable with that role. But I think he's been pretty good so far this season. It's just
we're witnessing the like Drew Holidayification of Bradley Beal in real time, where that's sort of
create the YouTube thumbnail.
Yeah, that's what he needs to be. I mean, Drew Holiday's, I've said kind of in jest, but like borderline Hall of Fame candidate because of the impact, like the combination
multiple champions as like the third most important player. I think
multiple championships where he was super important, plus a couple of All-Star appearances, plus 6 all defensive teams. Like obviously he actually needs to play for several more years and be good, I think, for several more years for it to actually be possible. But yeah, just the way he's made himself this essential guy on any playoff roster. I see Brad kind of modeling his game after that archetype a little bit this year. Yes, he's undersized, but he's taking on really challenging assignments of guys who are bigger than him, and we just need to hope his body holds up.
Augie asks, who wins in a fist fight, Mike or Sam? Please back up your answers with stats. Have you ever been in a fist fight, Sam?
Not a real one. Have you?
Yeah. I wouldn't fight you, though.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
I've got an age advantage.
Yes, of course.
Neither of us are in shape. That's true. Shape. Let's be real.
No, I mean, we're in podcast shape.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not out there running up and down the court or training to fight. But if we had to like YouTube train for a fight,
how many Patreon subscribers do you think we would get if we sold ourselves out? $20 a month Patreon tier to watch a live stream of us fight each other to the death.
That would be a very short fight. We would probably last 2 rounds.
And would it be better or worse than the Tyson Paul fight?
I'm sure it would be better. Yeah. It would be pretty similar though, in that I feel like an old man sometimes. So I relate to Mike Tyson in that way. And maybe I'll walk around with my pants off backstage a little too. The Savage Wolf says, I guess we're not going to answer that one. The Savage Wolf says, thoughts on Monte not getting minutes when the team is fully healthy. Just always seems to give positive minutes on the court. I really like him next to Book and KD, with KD and Beal sitting. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's just a size thing, right?
Yeah.
They have the ability of playing bigger with Tyus off the floor, and a lot of times Tyus is getting targeted because of his size, and putting Monte in to combat that is not going to work, so they've just sort of shifted to trying to play a little bit bigger when Tyus is off the floor, which I think makes sense.
Yeah, you know what's ironic about it, though, is I just looked it up per Cleaning the Glass, and that says the Suns' defense is 8 points per 100 possessions better with Monte Morris on the floor.
That's crazy. He has been really good this year, including on defense, I think.
Right. So I think it's like a little bit unfair that how much we write him off just because of his like physical attributes. Because every time he's touched the floor, I 100% agree, he's been really good. He shoots the ball. He puts the ball on the floor. He plays up a little bit of defense. His stats are good. Like per 36, he's at like, hold on. He's at like 17 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal and a half, 42% from deep. He's making an impact out there.
It's hard to really ask for more from him so far. I think, there's a world where if Tyus Jones misses games, we've talked about this before, I'm not sure he starts. Maybe they do start him. I don't think they necessarily have to. I think Book is in the midst of the best playmaking season of his career so far. And he can probably hold it down as the main point guard in the starting lineup, but he would still play significantly more minutes in that world. And I think now with Beal being out, he's going to get some more time too. And maybe he does earn that time. Maybe he does earn some more minutes because he's been pretty consistently good. Catching and shooting off the ball is really important for him. And he's done that in the last few games that he has played. So if he can continue to do that, that would be helpful.
Beal is probable for tomorrow against San Antonio, right?
Yes.
So that would take him right out of the rotation again. Unfortunately, I
most
think.
likely, yeah. This is from Five Fouls book AAA. Not necessarily Suns related, but which Western Conference team starts, whether it be hot or cold, do you think are legit?
That's a good
and
question.
Which ones do you think are early season weirdness?
Do we want to double down on our hate of the Clippers, or do we just buy them now?
I kind of wonder if it's the Warriors.
The Warriors are
as like
frauds.
The Warriors are on fraud watch.
No, I mean I think that's kind of a common opinion.
Yeah.
Not that the Warriors are good. They might make the playoffs. They might make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they could make the
say
playoffs, but they were like surviving like with the number one defense for a while there, and I don't know if that's real.
There's a team that's currently in the top 5 in both offensive and defensive rating that I have so many questions about still. Do you know
Memphis?
which team that is? It's
I'm
Memphis.
guessing.
It's
Memphis. Isn't that weird? Yeah, they've been really good. I haven't really watched them much this year.
I think Taylor Jenkins is a great coach. I respect the hell out of their front office for, like I said, they found Jay Huff. They found Scottie Pippen Jr. They get guys to, it's the Miami Heat thing. It's they find role players who then play this outsized role. But I just don't know. I don't know. Like, Jaren Jackson Jr. is their leading scorer at 22 points per game because Ja has also missed some games. Is that sustainable? Can you be a contender with that sort of, like, scoring profile?
It's a good question.
They also play a ton of guys. Like, no one on that team plays over 30 minutes a game, which is a good thing, but it's just like, I don't know.
It's a Warriors problem, too, because
it's a good regular season thing. I really don't know to trust that team or not.
It's hard to scout for, which I think the Warriors benefited from a little bit. But over time, the more time you see these guys on the court, the better you are at scouting for them, the better you can defend them. And I think the Suns did an excellent job against them. Steph was not quite right, obviously, and probably would have helped if he played well in the first half. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think Memphis. I haven't watched enough of Memphis to say they're frauds or anything, but I am surprised at just how good they've been so far this year.
Well, there's one other thing.
Mm-hmm.
They've been playing some cupcake teams. Now, this does not mean that they're, that their entire season, their body of work is invalid or whatever, but let me just read you because I'm only seeing this for the first time now, really kind of processing it. Their last 6 games are on a 6-game winning streak. Their last 6 games are against the Philadelphia 76ers, injured at the time. The
worst team in the NBA, basically.
The Chicago Bulls, the Portland Trailblazers, the Detroit Pistons, the New Orleans Pelicans, also highly injured, and most recently the Indiana Pacers. And that's their 6-game win streak. They've won games outside of that win streak. Like, clearly they're a good team. Like I said, they're top 5 offensive rating and defensive rating. Are they contenders? I don't know. I think it's premature to say that.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say that just yet. I'd like to see them a little bit more. Sustain a little bit more. Did you see Brandon Ingram signed with Clutch, by the way?
Yeah. Yeah.
What a disaster season for them so far.
Who is going to want that guy?
If he wants to play for a contender, he's not going to, right? Or do you think the Lakers get to the point where they are desperate enough for him? Like, they're not a contender still, but like, is that the team? Is that just the team that does it? I don't know. It's just a weird situation for him. I don't really see a world where a good team needs him. I don't know. Maybe the Hawks or something, The Hawks kind of who don't own their own picks, so they have like some sort of incentive to try a little bit harder. I don't know. Weird situation for him. Clearly, he's unhappy there. I think you signing with Clutch in the middle of a year after not receiving an extension. That sends a pretty obvious message that you want to be traded, I think. And that's going to be interesting to see if any team's willing to do it. They were clearly trying to trade him in the offseason. Nothing came of that.
Yeah, and now they're the worst team in the Western Conference, largely not even their own fault. Just the fact, like, they have good players outside of Ingram. All those guys are hurt. And it's just weird that Ingram has been the healthiest among all of those players and is sort of stuck in limbo in this situation. Really weird situation there.
All right, let me go. I received some questions outside of Twitter since we're getting close to an hour here. I want to make sure to get to those. This is from a Suns fan named Noah, who had a couple of questions, and I think there's some interesting stuff here. He said, for the mailbag, here's a weird one. 2 separate trades to make it work, plus attaching the pick, which he's calling the big pick. Okay, so this is Grayson for Okongwu and Nurkic for Bogdan.
Oh.
So basically you're trading Grayson and Nurkic for Okongwu and Bogdan Bogdanovic in 2 separate trades to make it legal, but attaching the pick to one of them, essentially doing a trade where it's Grayson Nurkic plus 2031 for Okongwu and Bogdan Bogdanovic.
I would point out that, Okongwu is also small, and they would continue to be like, the criticisms we have of starting Oso full time at the 5. Okongwu is 6'8".
Yeah.
But I would love this. I would take the risk and just do it. I think Okongwu's just kind of been rotting there in Atlanta for years, waiting for an opportunity to start. It's beyond time that someone gives him an opportunity to do so. Bogdan is a 3-way scorer in many respects. This would be awesome. What do you think?
I think it's kind of interesting to just find a version of making a 2-for-2 trade where maybe you wouldn't give up the 2031 pick. And by the way, the Hawks probably wouldn't do this, I think, right? So we can start there. But like you find a trade where you're giving the 2031 pick essentially to add value to both of those players, but you're doing it in separate trades in order to stay within the rules. So for that, I commend Noah more than anything else because I think it's a really creative way to find a way to use 2031 to go to one team and then use it to extract value from both players. We know it's more for Nurkic than anyone. Bogdan oft injured. Okongwu not starting and probably unhappy with his role there. Maybe not. I don't really know. But
he already got his extension. He signed for like 4 more years. So I don't know. He's just collecting money.
Separate question. He says, well, we're all out on Nurkic. I think there's scenarios this year where he's useful. Is there a world where the Okogie contract plus the big pick get traded for a starting caliber center and Nurk just goes to the bench?
Yeah, for sure.
Gets healthy, plays spot minutes, and is ready for basically matchups against massive centers where you kind of just need another body to throw out there. Jokic, for example. You're saying yes. That would be Jock Landale, right? We just talked about Jock Landale as potentially that guy, but the problem with using Okogie is he just makes such a small amount of money, so finding a starting caliber center that is good enough to play that makes less than Okogie.
I mean, it's
Nick Richards, right? It's Nick Richards potentially, right?
The guy.
It's not enough to get Jonas Valanciunas. Jonas Valanciunas makes more than Okogie. And it's Jock Landale is another guy that like we've talked about 5 times in this podcast already. So it's harder.
It's not enough for Goga either, who's just over $8 million.
Yeah, I think he's around 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tough.
Yeah, he's at 9.
If you find the guy, I've stared at the salaries of the entire the entire NBA quite a few times. But if you're listening to this and you find that guy, let us know who it is because I'm still curious about that. I also, before I go back to Twitter here, I want to remember to do this one. Somebody sent me a reply on Blue Sky. This is from Gigs18, who said, I came here from Twitter to ask a question. He said he combed every roster. It's impossible to trade Nurk, much less for an improvement, giving that which is more likely. He gave 3 options. Nurk improves to not be a liability. Nurk starts, but only ceremoniously. And Nurk gets benched and ousted from the rotation entirely.
Which is most likely for the rest of the season?
Yeah. I think that probably improves but not be a liability is probably the most likely based on the history of how he's played, right? It's just tough to believe in that based on the way the season has gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the other stuff outside of like the shooting might improve to where he's been for his career.
I think the idea that he starts but only ceremoniously is actually less likely than him being benched. Because if he's really bad as a starter, I don't think they'll start him for the first 3 minutes.
What would that be? I always love to remind people, like, what if Nurk is this year's Jaren Collins?
Yeah, that's exactly the guy.
He starts for 10 minutes and they play way worse with him on the floor, but they continue to start him anyway. I always think that's such a fascinating season to look back on. And then Oso is just Lou Amundsen or some shit. Right. Or we need a Channing Frye on this team too.
Yeah, we don't have
God, that was such a weird
KD
team.
is Channing Frye on this team.
Yeah, I guess so. The problem is KD is Amari Stoudemire and Channing Frye on this team. So we need more role players to help him out.
All right. Did you see? I can pick some random questions here, but did you see any other questions that you wanted to get to?
Not particularly. So I would say go for whatever.
All right. Let's see. If you're trading Nurkic for a packet of chips, what flavor would you settle for? That's one of them. We don't have to answer that one.
You a salt and vinegar guy?
I don't mind them.
I'm
not entirely into vinegar as a flavor in general, so I probably wouldn't pick them, but okay. I don't think the chips are bad.
No, I like salt and vinegar. Pickle chips? You ever have pickle chips?
Pickle chips are similar.
I'm just a vinegar guy, I guess.
Yeah, I think you are. Yeah, you like the sour
barbecue.
Chips.
I'm just listing chip flavors now. There's like barbecue.
Yeah. I like jalapeno chips, I got to say.
Oh, jalapeno chips are good, man. Jalapeno chips are good.
What's your guys' favorite dish from Thanksgiving this year? Sticking to food. It's from AZ Cursed.
You start.
Do
you eat turkey?
I do eat turkey. I make a turkey.
Yeah. Well, like some people just hate turkey.
It's really. I think it's a hotter take to say you like turkey now than it is to say that you hate turkey. Yeah. I feel like more people are saying they dislike it than they like it, and I do like it. I made mac and cheese and it was really good.
My family doesn't do mac and cheese, but I feel like that might be like more of a Northeast thing / white family thing. I don't really know. I'm a cranberry sauce guy for sure, like actual homemade cranberry sauce, not out of the can. I saw Howard Beck shared a photo also on Blue Sky of his cranberry sauce straight out of the can with like all the ridges in it that you could see, just like the entire can splatted out onto
a serving dish
onto his plate or a serving dish or whatever it is. Yeah, that's disgusting. But I do like cranberry sauce in general.
Doc Belaw says, with Nurk out a few games, what's a guy got to do to see some bowl? I mean,
blowout teams, sadly, my friends.
Yeah,
I think that's the only way.
Okogie is essentially just like snatched that entirely, that sort of power forward off the bench role, because he's been awesome. So like Okogie's going to play. If they're going to play another guy who can get rebounds, maybe Bol Bol will find a way into the lineup. But yeah, you're right. If they blow a team out, that's the only way we're going to see Bol Bol actually hit the floor. I think that's the right point. And yeah, I think we have basically. I'm trying to find a non-Nurk trade question, and most of these are that. So I think that's probably.
Hold on, let me see. Make sure that there's.
Is Oso a future Jokic? This is from Victor S.
I already know you think that. I'll gladly talk about is Oso a future Jokic.
Yeah, I mean he was drafted in the second round, so
the answer is
there. That's right.
He is not. Sadly, Victor, he is not, because he will never have the overwhelming dominant physicality of Jokic. Right. Yeah. The question is Oso a future Bam Adebayo? That's the question.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was watching Şengün. I watched the OKC.
Oh, that's not bad either.
So I watched the OKC Houston game yesterday, and it was awesome. Like, just really, really great game beginning to end.
What do you think of Houston? I was thinking about talking about them when we were asked about teams that made hot starts in the West.
I think they're just going to be... They kind of remind me of the Clippers in that they're just going to be really annoying to play, because they're really, really on top of it defensively. They love annoying teams, and I think that's something that they're going to continue to do against every team. And if they can keep up that defensive play as good as they've been doing so far this season, they have enough guys to create offense. So much of what they do offensively relies on Fred VanVleet being awesome. In that game, they did beat OKC yesterday, and Fred VanVleet had like 38 points, so like that's kind of what they needed to beat them. But I think they've been really good. But I'm watching Şengün play, and a lot of what he does is like Jokic. And it, going back and forth from like watching a Denver game to watching him, it just really stands out just how massive Jokic is. It is kind of crazy to think about all the things that he's capable of doing at his size. Because Şengün, like if Şengün was Jokic's size, he'd be significantly better, significantly better.
Right.
And there's just nothing he can do to do that because he's just the size that he is. Yeah. He's got a lot of the same skills. Can't shoot like Jokic can. And Jokic just, the amount that he can do because of how big he is just insane. You know, the rebounding, the post moves, the way he's able to get to the rim. He can shoot over any defender who's closing out on him. And you know, he's been incredible this season, Jokic. I know this is not the podcast to go on and talk about how good Jokic has been, but there's a world where he leads the NBA in points, assists, and rebounds. Like, that's a possibility for him this year. I mean,
look, man, sometimes ever since they beat us in the playoffs, too, I've kind of felt this way. When we beat them in the playoffs a few years ago, I was feeling myself a little bit. I was like, yeah, fuck that guy. You know, he's not that good. All you need to do is like kill him and drop and you know, they'll fold. And since then, you know, like I've watched a lot of Jokic at this point, and yeah, sometimes you just gotta mature and throw your hands up and understand when you're witnessing something that is special, to the extent of like, he's gonna go down as one of the greats. Like, he's gonna go down as a guy where people talk about him as like they had never seen someone like him before. Yeah. That's the type of player he is. I don't know what the next evolution of a Nikola Jokic would even look like. I don't know if it's possible, or if he's just like the maximization of a player with that limited athleticism and that huge of a body, just having
with that brain, right?
Just having the ultimate microprocessor for a brain. Yeah, he's awesome.
29 points, 10.7 assists, 13.2 rebounds is his stats so far this year. Like, on the verge of leading the NBA in all three of those stats, and the efficiency is sort of off the charts as well for him so far this season. Just an absurd season from him again. Like, he's gonna win MVP again.
51% from deep on 4 attempts a game. That's also a career high.
Insane.
82% from the free throw line. He's always been so good there. Yeah.
So no, yeah, Oso's not a future Jokic, but yeah, I don't know, maybe.
But Bam Adebayo, he could, or Şengün, he could do. Like, the thing about Bam that I think about, or Şengün, you know, same body type, is just like, yeah, can you be 6'10" and like protect the rim and also protect the perimeter and just be like a solid two-way threat and develop a mid-range shot? Just give us,
or like a drive game at least.
Yeah, a drive game. That's actually a great point that you're making, because I want to talk to you about that. You know, it's interesting how they use Oso in the corner and then they have him cut to be a lob threat, obviously, right? But it's like, how can you get defenses more consistently to respect him out on the corner if he's not going to shoot corner threes? And you know, there have been some opportunities I felt like where Oso actually catches a pass in the corner, and what he'll do, he'll just take a dribble in and then immediately like shift his hips. He'll swing his hips around and turn it into a dribble handoff, which is exactly what Bam Adebayo does with the Miami Heat as well, right? Sometimes I feel like he has the space there, and I've seen him dribble the ball well enough where I don't know if the coaching staff isn't in his ear about it already, but like, he should just take that straight line drive and just go all the way and try and finish, you know?
Or get
like
fouled,
I feel like he has the ball handling skills, like closely approximating a wing, like a typical 6'8" or 6'9" wing, well enough to where he should just be Josh Okogie sometimes and attack the rim, just put his head down and attack. I'd love to see, you know, what that looks like for him.
He had, I don't remember what game it was at this point, but he had one game where he caught it at half court and just drove it in transition all the way to the basket. I don't even remember if he made it, but his ability to get there on a defender who was backpedaling was impressive enough to me to say, oh yeah, he should try to do that every once in a while. He just doesn't look at the rim very much right now. And I think that's just kind of like a confidence thing for him, because he was looking at the rim a lot in college. Right, so it's not like this is just ingrained into him. I think
in college
has to find his confidence within his role.
In college, the Tyler Kolek, Oso pairing was the Marquette offense. Like, everything that was their Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire. Everything was built around them having a pick and roll offense. Now suddenly you're imported into a situation where every time you catch the ball in the short roll, it's being drilled into your head. Check the corners. One of KD or Book is there. You know, rescreen into a dribble handoff at the top of the key. Maybe you've got Bradley Beal up there. It's like just a much different ecosystem with much better players.
Yeah.
But hopefully they can give him some confidence, especially, again, this week's going to be huge for Oso. We're going to be watching him so closely because he's going to play a lot of minutes.
Pass it, or he catches it in the short roll, and now he's looking for cutters on that pass, too. He's not looking at the rim first, because if guys are coming out to him, because he can make the floater, then he has the ability of passing to cutters coming off the corners. I wonder if they'll play some Josh Okogie with him now, actually, too, since they have somebody like who's pretty good at cutting like that. Because Brad, also very good cutter. Maybe he'll find some space off of him, too. I'd also like to see, I know we're not just on an Oso kick here, there's a couple Oso, Iguodaro, Kevin Durant pick and rolls that I thought were kind of interesting too. I'd like to see a little bit more of those two guys finding some chemistry in that two-man game, because KD likes to play with guys like that who have skills.
KD likes smart bigs.
Yeah, he does.
But it's not enough to just be smart. Like, I think Nurkic is somewhat of a smart big relative to other bigs in the NBA, but he just, for the life of him, cannot finish at the rim. But, like, this is why KD liked Jock Landale, too, if we're talking about Jock Landale again. And why, honestly, if they flipped Josh Okogie for Jock Landale, I wouldn't be surprised, maybe if only because I feel like both Book and KD like that guy and would not mind playing with him again.
Well, go to patreon.com/thetimeline and use the discount code OSOGOOD, no space, OSOGOOD, to sign up for our Patreon. 80% off your first month for signing up for our Patreon, and stick around if you like it. $6 a month for an extra podcast every week.
And
Make
Discord.
sure to check out ethicalhoops.com. Oh, yeah, and you get access to our Discord, which I think is the best Suns community on the internet, if I'm being honest. So check that out.
Except for that one guy. Shame about that one guy.
That's true. They'll figure out who it is, I guess. Yeah, and we'll be on Playback tomorrow, so join us for the Spurs game. Chris Paul against Devin Booker on Playback, playback.tv/thetimeline. We appreciate you all. We'll be back with the midweek episode this week.